I'm a blessed man. My parents have been married for 57 years. I've got an older brother and sister, so I'm the youngest of three. And although I come from a very middle-class background, my parents invested every penny they had into our education. I was able to go to a private school through high school and then went to college in San Antonio, Texas at Trinity University. And after that came to Houston and worked for about 3.5 years for an accounting/consulting company. I did things a little bit different. Most people go from the military into the business world. I actually went from the business world into the military realm. I joined the Marine Corps back in 1992. I actually planned to do about 4 years in the Marine Corps, and I wound up doing 10. I worked for some amazing people and had some tremendous experiences, and just continued to be blessed by those environments. After I got out of the Marine Corps, just right after 9/11 in New York City, I went right into Homeland Security. The folks that ran Homeland Security in New York happened to be friends of mine and said, "We'd like for you to join us." I was the counterterrorism training director for the state of New York in New York City for about 3.5 years, until some folks at DHS called and said, "Hey, we'd love to have you work for us in New York City doing some of the same work." And so I worked for DHS in New York City until I was promoted a couple of times and wound up in Washington, D.C., basically running our field operations program for infrastructure protection. Did both the administrative and the field. I've supervised the field force. After being in D.C. for about 7 years, it was time to leave, and my wife and my children at that time agreed to move back to Houston. It is so good to be back in Houston, I can't begin to tell you. But we've been back for 4 years now. And about 2 years ago, finally left the federal government and started my own small construction company. As a matter of fact, for the last year, we spent a huge majority of our time actually doing renovation work for houses that have been flooded from Hurricane Harvey. You know, it's a heartbreaking experience. There are so many houses and so many people have been hurt by the hurricane that it's been a privilege, but at the same time, it's been hard to go in and try and rebuild people's lives. It's actually been a privilege. So when we're not working, very committed to my family. My wife and I have been married for 21 years now. I've been married happily for about 21 years. She's been happily married for about 1.5 years, but I think we all have those kind of environments. I've got 4 children. My oldest son actually works with us and lives with us in Houston with his wife and my 5-year-old grandbaby. Her name's Natalie. She's a sweetheart and a half, as you can imagine. My oldest daughter lives in New York City and works for an investment house there. And oddly enough, my 2 youngest daughters decided to go to college in Los Angeles. They're about 15 miles from each other, but they're about 1,300 miles away from us. So effectively, we're kind of empty nesters, but not really. We're having a great time, but at the same time, miss all of our kids. My wife is unbelievable. I think every husband would say that, but I truly believe that. She's raised all of our kids. She puts up with my stuff on a regular basis, maintains a just positive atmosphere, a positive attitude about everything, always looking for the best in everybody. Just a joy to see every evening when we have a chance to spend some time together. I think we have the solution on how to be successful in our marriages. Nothing that most people have heard before, but the foundation of all your marriages wind up in the last 5 minutes before you go to bed. We play Yahtzee almost every night before we go to bed. Yes, it's true. We play Yahtzee before we go to bed almost every night. Who wins most of the time? We're gonna leave that up to other people to decide. But I have literally a stack about that big of Yahtzee cards from 21 years of marriage. Like I said, I'm a blessed man. Some challenges that we've run into, things that won't necessarily come up in regular research or homework. I actually had a physical ailment when I was a kid named leg perthes. It meant the ball and socket joint in my hip did not function properly, and I spent 3.5 years as a young kid running around with a brace on my leg while my leg healed. So it was apparently a medical challenge or almost miracle, the fact that I wound up playing sports all through high school and college and then joined the Marine Corps, and I've not had any problems with that ever since. I have a daughter who had significant health challenges as she was growing up and was in and out of the hospital multiple times when she was younger. Very grateful for the medical care we were able to get. And we also had our oldest daughter had invasive malignant melanoma that she's fine with right now, but when she was in college, she had to deal with as well. So like so many families out there, we have had our challenges that we've had to deal with. Some of the things that I'm engaged in as far as activities are concerned, I'm sure you can tell I love my family, and there's nothing I want to do more than spend time with my family, but we're also very committed to our church. I teach Sunday school on a weekly basis. I volunteer monthly with our organization that helps the widows in our church. We come alongside them and do repairs on their houses as need be and other miscellaneous things around their houses that need to be taken care of. I go to a Bible study on Friday mornings called the New Canaan Society, where it's an opportunity for men to get together and actually be men with each other and be honest with each other. It's been a tremendous opportunity for me to grow in who I am and how to love my family better. So a little over a year ago, we started a construction contracting business to go help people renovate their houses. And when we started it, it was based on the values that we had in the Marine Corps, and the values that we instituted were excellence, honor, and humility. Things need to be done the right way, all the time. Good enough is not a term that we work with because it's people's homes and we're making a difference for them, and things need to be done right. We also do it with honor. Whatever the right thing to do is, that's what we're gonna do. We've had some situations where other contractors have kind of messed up people's houses, and we've come in and fixed them at very little or no cost because it's their house and we need to take care of them. And the last one is humility. It's a privilege to be in people's houses to make it right for them, and especially doing all of the work that we've had to do for the results of Hurricane Harvey. We have to do it with humility. People are hurting, and it's only right that when you come into their house that you treat them with honor and take care of their houses to make it livable again. And it's made some challenges because not every employee actually wants to operate with those values. And so we've had some employees that haven't lasted with us very long because they think good enough is a way to do work, and that's not going to work with us. We want to make sure that things are done in a way that when you walk away from a job, that they're happy and that you know that you've done the right thing by people. We're doing life together, and that's really what this is about. If I can share a quick Hurricane Harvey story. We have friends that got flooded, and I don't know why, but they called me and said, hey, can you help us? Do you know anybody with a boat? Well, by God's providence, the folks that live next door to us have a flat bottom boat. So I ran next door and knocked on them and said, hey, can you work into the schedule for you to be able to go over and take care of some friends of mine? And they did. The very next day, when people are being rescued, when resources are scarce and it's hard for people to get anywhere, my next door neighbor, who never met these other friends of mine, took their flat bottom boat, went and rescued my other friends and pulled them out, never knowing each other. That's Houston. That's what we're all about. And truly, that's why I'm running for office right now, because it's about people, not about parties. It's about us. It's about taking care of one another, regardless of where you come from. We are one Houston. We're Houston strong. And that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm trying to run for office. So in this political season where it's challenging and there's a lot of differences and arguments, let's remember what brings us all together is that we care for one another. It's about people, not about parties. But really, it's not the political season that matters at this point. It's October, it's November, it's the baseball season. Let's remember, let's go Stros!